Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to Stationeers. So, last episode I mentioned that it would be a smart idea. Oh, look at those beautiful battery. It's probably really small on your screen, but off in the distance. I mentioned that it would be a smart idea to add a transformer, and I think that's probably the first thing I'm going to do. So we're going to have a large kit transformer. It's going to need electrum and steel. My steel is here. There we go. And my electrum should be over here somewhere. Oh, gotta keep that on. Oh, it's right in front of me. Yes, of course it is. Alright, so we'll get the transformer up. And then the pressure test worked, so I need to start prepping the inside of my base for actual pressure, right? Being able to theoretically pressure your base is great and all, but you actually need the real true pressure. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is putting a frame down so I can put a transformer. It occurs to me I totally have the wrong belt on. So let's switch the belts. There we go. Can't really weld with my mining belt. Alright, we're gonna need some additional, probably some additional heavy wires. Oh no, maybe we won't. Let's see. We might be able to make this without it. So this is the input. And the output. Yeah, we're gonna need some more. I don't know. Maybe not. Oh no, we won't. Input, output, connected. Here's the big old transformer. And I guess the easiest way to do this would be a labeler, right? So I'm just gonna give it a really big number, and okay, I might have oh, there we go. Output. Alright, 49900 is probably what I'll set it at. Just so that it has no chance to burn out the cables. And let's flick that on. And now, this heavy cable here cannot blow out, which is good. So that was a quick little fix. Now the reason why I had my other belt equipped is our next project is probably going to include separating out the floors so that the crawl spaces are isolated on their own networks. So what I mean by that is adding floor pieces, or adding pieces in the crawl space here so that we can move around in it freely. And I think what I'm going to do is just flat panel floor it. And then on the living quarter side, we will add something later on. But I think even before that, I'm going to need to run some pipes. So, order operations, right? Because I'm going to lose the ability to run pipes soon if I start flooring things off. So my pipe bender unit is actually in here. And we're going to crank a whole lot of these out. The reason why I need pipes, for two different reasons. My AC network does not currently, I guess the only way in right now is up. My AC network doesn't currently have any piping. So all of my air conditioners, as you can see here, don't, these cooler pipes don't really lead to any sort of radiators outside that would help cool it. So I need radiators on that, which means I need to extend this drab olive pollutant piping network. And, yeah. And then these aren't connected yet either. Whatever. So instead of having to go the long way continuously, I'm just gonna pop a little hole here and set the glass nicely as a little reminder that we punched a hole. And then of course, I will also need to run a water pipe all the way out to my hydroponics, because won't be able to grow anything without water. What is that hiding in there? What's going on, purple paint? Why are you hiding? Alright, so the projects that I'm working on. I would like to lay down the pipes so that I can then, pretty soon, in the near future, start flooring off the base so that we can live in it.
Hunger caution.
Wow, I predicted a hunger caution, didn't I? That was awesome. Alright, so I think it's khaki color that these pipes are going to need to be colored. I believe that was the color of our pollutant gas. Was it? I'll just stick a pipe there. Oh yeah, definitely. That is the right color.
Light off. Light on.
Alright, so what I need to do is figure out where I want to run AC radiators. I'm thinking probably somewhere near the back of the base, so that it impacts the ugliness the least. I realize this is not a particularly pretty base. I'm okay with that. Alright, so the back of the base might actually be off limits, and the reason why it would be low-key off limits is it looks like none of those plumbing run back there. So what I might have is heat sinks run on the outside of this wall here. It will be very visible, but in this case I might just say the hell with it, function over form. So as you can see, it's good that I didn't pressurize the base because I am cutting holes into these windows everywhere. So right here we've got a pipe running right alongside the khaki pipe here, right? And if I run a pipe like this, we can then add radiators, and the usually quite cold Martian air can cool off the pollutant. I realize fully that, is this too intrusive? Yeah, honestly, it's too intrusive. It's easy, but it's ugly. Alright. I'll back off of what I was gonna originally set it at. Let's go ahead and put that back down. Alright, so where could this go that it wouldn't be hideous? I could line it around the bottom. Yeah. I could do something like that. All that will be gone. Yeah, I guess I could have heat sinks up and down the back side of this, because this is sort of the utility side, right? Alright, so let's run the pollutant pipes all the way back there. It's a long run, and it adds a lot of volume to this pipe network that I'm not hugely enthusiastic about. But it might be the least ugly. I do want to avoid running pipes through the porthole here. Because we'll be able to see to multiple floors through the porthole, so I'm trying to keep the plumbing and all that jazz from running through this porthole. So I'll run the pipe through, around it rather. Goodbye, frame. Now is this, oh, that's apparently not a problem, running it right next to the elevator. So when you pass through the floors of the elevator, we're gonna have to wall off this as well. Actually, you know what? This is all somewhat visible. I know I keep changing my mind, but we're gonna kind of catch glimpses of this. Might as well run it further around so that it's more aesthetic in the long run. I guess that means I could have just picked it up here. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Indecision 2019, right? And this is exactly why I'm not actually running gas to any of these pipes, because I'd be messing that up big time. Alright, it's not going to be symmetrical, because obviously I'm not going to run a pipe on the other side. I don't need double the piping. It just doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense. Because the way these pipes work is when gas enters the pipe anywhere, that gas is sort of everywhere. What I mean is if you had a vent like 10 kilometers away that was pulling in Martian atmo, and then you ran a 10-kilometer pipe, the moment the air enters the pipe, you can start filtering it from 10 kilometers or an infinite distance away. Like total magic, yes. Alright, now the only other problem with it running this pipe like this is I can't get through, right? You know, I'm kind of like low-key stuck. No, I guess I could fly over it. Alright, Mr. Door. I see you've blocked me. Alright, so here's the pipe. And, I can't fully make it hidden. It needs to be out in the air so that it can get cooled down. So let's go crank out some of that, some more. I'll probably have to smelt iron, and I'm gonna reclaim one of these so that I don't have to recolor anything. And then we're gonna have to print out a bunch of radiators too. Now there's other ways to cool, but this one is passive. It's a passive cooler, not an active cooler. Active cooling would be something like having an area where you melt ices in, which would create a very... Oh, did I really just do that? Which would create like a super cooled environment, and then you could use the air around the ices to cool gas that's in the tanks. A lot of large industries actually do sort of stuff like that, where they'll use like a lake or a man-made lake near the facilities, if they have like a server farm, and then use the water in the lake that is passively cooled by the environment, providing you're in a cool environment. You know, so this obviously wouldn't work in you know, the deep south or something, because it'd be too hot. But then you use the environment to cool off your servers, because you're feeding the water from your man-made lake into the liquid-cooled plumbing. I've heard of people doing that. It has some unfortunate ramifications. Like, one is you screw up bird migration, because, you know, if you do it in the north, where normally lakes freeze over and then it forces birds to migrate, if you have this nice, warm, toasty lake that stays defrosted all throughout the winter, birds aren't going to be encouraged to migrate away. Alright, so there we go. The big, weird... Oh, and that's not even symmetrical. I'll be darned. Okay, fine. I'll fix that bit. There is... Not worrying about the inside of my base being symmetrical. This is already ugly enough, having this giant, weird piping installation. It needs to go somewhere. Yes, I could hypothetically feed this pipe all the way over to, like, my solar power array, or something like that, so that it stays nice and hidden. But it would make this less voluminous. The more pipes I add, the more the gas has to, you know, the more the gas gets spread out amongst the total volume of the network. Alright, so these other pipes that I've got here will probably be painted blue. Wherever my blue paint is. For the water that's going to run to the hydroponics. But I can just leave the pipes there for now. Here's my blue. The blue that looks to me like purple. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Alright, so the next up... Oh, I see you, sneaky little pipe. The next thing I need to do is to add radiators to that network there, which will allow me to cool off any gas that's in those, you know, cool off the pollutant that's in there, right? Alright, radiators are a little expensive because they're gold and steel. Luckily, I have plenty of gold. As for steel, I do not have too much, so I'm going to have to go make some. We are definitely low on steel. Let me make sure that I don't have any hidden steel anywhere. I think this reagent mix is actually steel, but it's certainly not enough steel to warrant, you know, it's not enough to make a bunch of radiators. So the more radiators we add, the more the quicker the temperature in the pollutant pipe network will match the ambient. And of course, during the night, Martian night, the ambient's like -55, so it would cool it down. And then during the day, it's 18, which is still a little bit colder than the minimum of the base. So even during the day, these radiators will help. Now, if that wasn't the case, let's say you had extreme weather swings, one thing you could do is to pump all of the air out of this pipe, this radiator pipe, or flip a valve or something, so that during the day it won't work, and then during the night it will. I don't know, there's a few different things, but obviously I don't have that problem, so I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, so I need a whole lot more radiators, so that means I need steel. So, switching to my belt, I'm going to make a batch of 200 steel. And then maybe... I'm low on iron, so I'll bring some iron over as well. I'm running out of bag space here, aren't I? Let's put the data disk away. Because I'm carrying a bunch of the random wall construction. I'll drop in a pile so that I can fit more. Oops, I meant to drop this too, so I can fit more into my backpack. Because I was rather low on iron, and I'd rather not run out. And all the gas I use now is gas that I can use in the base later, so it serves a purpose. Okay. Taking a look. Let's go and power everything on. Take a quick check out here. So the holding tank has a little bit of gas. Not that that really matters. It's not near rupturing. And the furnace is totally vacuumed out. So enter. And there we go. Alright, some volatiles. Cool. And oxide. It's quite hot already. That's what we were going for. Iron first. Seems reasonable. There's all the materials for iron. We're going to wait till this reagents LED reads 200 because I just put 200 things in there. And hope that the temperature stays hot enough. Please. Good chunk. Steel. Steel, steel, steel. Alright. Awesome. Now we wanted some iron. And this will... Oh, it's too cold. That's fine. I'm going to start vacuuming it out. Let's open up the lever, get all our iron back, and then stoke it up again. Actually, while I'm here, you know what I could do? Is grab that ball of reagent and see if I can make that into steel. So let's go ahead and put this steel away. Steel needs to go in here eventually. Here's the ball of reagent mix that I think is just steel that needs to get remelted. Alright, so that should be on. Let me try that again. There we go. I had it the wrong way. Alright, we are vacuum pumping that out. And then we'll get back to it. It doesn't need to be fully vacuumed, just enough that the majority of the gas in there isn't just uncombustibles. Alright, so we're going to go for maybe 6 oxites. I'm going to make it extra hot. And... three volatiles. Alright, let's see. There. That is very low pressure. And we have combustion. Cool. Backpack. Let's try the reagent mix first. And if it just comes out as reagent mix, then it wasn't steel. Nope, it's not steel. Alright, there's ways to deal with that, to spin it down and figure out what it is, but to separate it out into its chief components and analyze it, but I really don't care. I have enough steel. I don't need to figure out what 16 random whatevers is. Doesn't really matter to me.
Light off.
Keeping a close eye on the temperature here. I think it's going to be warm enough for copper and gold. Let's see. Gold takes longer in the arc furnace, so we'll do that next. Gold's done. And copper. I'm actually going to start vacuum pumping it out while we smelt the copper. Copper's done. Okay. Close the mold. I'll leave the pump on. But I can turn off the room vent. Alright, so this reagent mix wasn't iron. Toss it in the recycler. Oh, the soy oil. You know what? I'm going to yeet that into orbit. And this reagent mix is steel and electrum. Weird. Why would it,
Light on.
Alright, so these are two different, reagents now. And they'd need to be smelted separately. Honestly, I could go do that. Yeah, why not? So, what I needed to do is separate them out so that, because they combined into big mix of random whatever. and that obviously is not what we wanted. So let's just as a proof of being able to do it, go ahead and do this. So I need to figure out which one's electrum and which one's steel. So I'll stick that reagent mix in, and this is the steel reagent mix. So the other ball is presumably electrum. Alright, so this is steel, 9 steel, and just to make sure that this is pure electrum, I'll put that in as well. Yes, it is indeed pure electrum. Alright. That's why I wasn't able to smelt it, because it's two different things. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. So steel and electrum. Electrum is actually not that fussy. It just needs lower pressures, but because we have the furnace pump, it's not that hard to get lower pressures. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go, oops. I still have some Atmo in here. Hello. Vacuum, please. It's not really vacuuming, is it? It's vacuumed now, but I don't trust it. Yeah. It's sort of, alright, it is vacuum. Split one. Toss. Split one, toss. Yeah, it's melting some of what I have in my hands. The future furnace room probably should end up being... Ooh, null exception. That's not good. I just got some sort of bug. The future furnace should probably include a frozen room. So this is the steel mix. So this should produce a little bit of steel. And there it is. And this is the electrum mix, and this is not going to produce electrum because at the moment I have too high pressure. So I need to bring my pressure down a little bit. Oh, that's down enough. And this should be electrum. Ta-da! It's like magic, but not. It's more like alchemy, but not quite. Alright, so let's vacuum pump out the rest of this. Now, our holding tank is doing a really good job pulling out all of the carbon dioxide, so all that's left here, for the most part, is oxygen, nitrogen, volatiles, and pollutant. And we'll leave that on pumping out for now. It's daytime, and we have plenty of power. So yeah, I just wanted to demonstrate that if you had a wad of reagents, you could figure out what it is and how to split it. And there you go, I just did it. It just requires a centrifuge. I didn't really need to put it in the recycler, but because they're combined or whatever, I had to kind of do both, unless I wanted to wrench that chute off. All right, what were we doing? Radiators, right? I'm gonna let that run for a bit because we're gonna need a whole lot of radiators. Now, there is an air conditioning unit. Personally, I think it works terribly. Very, very power hungry, very, very inefficient. You're welcome to use it. Absolutely welcome to use it. Same with the portable air conditioner, all that. Basically, what it does is it just keeps gas that is the wrong temperature. And that's how it works. And like kind of tries to use a whole lot of power to cool off other gas. I have no idea why it's so dreadfully inefficient, but it just is, which is why I don't really employ traditional air conditioners, which is part of the the filtration units can also be air conditioners. I thought I could catch that. So yeah, I would highly advise you to avoid traditional air conditioners, or Especially on regular cables, they will burn you out hard. The passive coolers are a lot... I guess they're sort of passive coolers. They're a lot more power efficient. And they won't burn you out. Just a FYI. I'm sort of curious if I can paint these things. I've never really tried to... Oops. That doesn't belong there. Let's switch our belts so I can fix that. Alright, we probably have enough radiators, so let me get over here and stop the press. Oh, do I need one more? No, maybe I don't. Perfect. So now that's the back of our base. Yes, goofy as hell. Which means the logic here, I might not even move because it already looks terrible back here. If you really cared about the aesthetics, I suppose you could hide all this stuff behind walls. So what I could do is have cladding or some other non-airtight walling that covers up the sort of utility parts of the base, and the radiators still would work just behind hidden cladding. It's up to you how much you care about the aesthetics. For me, given how long I've made you wait, I care a little bit more about getting the job done. Look, all of our backup batteries are full up. That's pretty cool. We are definitely generating enough power for whatever I'm currently running in the base to be fine. So the next project was the water pipes. So even more piping for the hydroponic basins. So I have a bunch of pipes here, but I'll probably need more. And I'm doing all this because once I have the floors and all that stuff set up in this area, it's going to be really difficult to add new things in. So the water is going to have to come up here. I'll do it parallel with the vitals system. Oh, not there though. I'm well aware that I'm currently manufacturing pipes like crazy back in the base. So itching to, oh, come on. Alright, actually, no, that's fine. Because at this point, we want to run towards the hydroponics. And then I have to decide how many basins, where I want my basins, etc., etc. But that's where water is, so we can even bring it up like this and run the basins or whatever. So let's just make sure that this blue pipe gets close to where it needs to connect to. So, meaning I almost don't need any more pipes. So let's go turn this bad boy off before I end up drowned in iron pipes. I'm actually a little surprised that there's only iron pipes. There's no such thing as a steel pipe. Because the iron pipes blow out at about, I don't know exactly, but they blow out at about 60-something MPa, which is honestly a ton of pressure, don't get me wrong, but it's a lower blowout pressure than all of the storage tanks. So, you know, people ask me, oh, what's the capacity of the X tank or whatever, you know, the portable tanks, or it doesn't even matter what tank it is, because honestly, the capacity isn't the tank itself, it is the pipe feeding the tank, because the pipe feeding the tank is absolutely going to explode way before the tank does, in most cases. Now, the gas canister is a little bit different, but all the regular tanks, that is exactly what it's like. Oops, my depth perception failed me. With all the regular tanks, they will blow up, you know, the ones I have here, Their pressure is higher than pipes. The large version is pressure higher than pipes. Even the portable versions, as far as I know, pressure is higher than the pipes. So your problem is never going to be that the tank blew out. It's always going to be a pipe. Alright. I will collect some of these pipes here. I made more than I needed, but I'm sure I'll have more use for pipes for future base projects, so it's not gone to waste. Alright, so let's take a quick look. I think at this point, what are we really missing? So for the lounge, we don't really have any lounge furniture, but I could add that in after the fact. The only problem with adding it in after the fact, it's going to need to be added in to welded frames, which means the crawl space disappears temporarily. So it might be worth putting that kind of stuff in now. Just thinking, spitballing here. But I don't want to fully decorate the entire base, because a lot of the decorations I can just do after the fact. So it's like, what to do first? One thing I have questions about is if the... Nope. I'm curious what these make. Do I have to make it on a... Yeah, I think I have to make it on the fabricator. I just don't like using the fabricator because I don't necessarily have the order of all the items memorized, and there's really no search. And I don't like to putz around here, you know? Cryotube. Gold, copper, steel. I'm cocking my head in real life right now. I don't know what a cryotube is. But I can make one. So let's make one. Now, as you can see, there is stuff like rolled flare. Well, you've already seen those from like episode 1, but like handguns and stuff like that. Eventually, there's going to be enemies that you have to fight, or even other players potentially. Digital valve, engines for the motherships, gas field generators, maybe something I do in the future. Gyroscope, which is a mothership part. Igniter, same deal. Organics printer, which allows you to print up like seeds and stuff like that. That's maybe a future episode as well. A lot of these portable power connectors and controllers. Security printer is for security key cards and a different uniform, which will eventually allow you to get access to certain things. It's kind of hard to describe, I guess. Still Stellar Anchor, which is the starting block of the mothership. Torpedo launcher, I bet that doesn't really need discussion. Same with turret. Vending machines is kind of cool, but it's more of a novelty than anything else, in my opinion, at least right now. Hard suit. My God, man, I am really putzing around here. Commander uniform. You know what? I want to be a commander. So what is this cryotube thing? Allows me to make a cryotube. Oh, actually, that is maybe what I was looking for. I was looking for a sleeper, but maybe they replaced it with the cryotube. All right, let's grab the iron here. Make a commander's uniform. That allows more pockets. Let's see. Let me do a quick Google for cryotube here. Cryotube is non-functional, but it will eventually be used to grow organs for players. That seems really disturbing. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab everything that is in our current uniform and toss it on the ground, because we will switch uniforms. And as you can see, this uniform has access card slots, which allows us to use security printers or something or whatever. I guess it really doesn't matter. I just think it's cool that I look like a commander. So yeah. Of course, you can't really tell because A, it's nighttime, and B, it's under my giant suit. Eventually, it will be cool. So I guess this thing is non-functional, according to the wiki. I have no idea if that's true. There used to be something called Sleeper, which I was looking for, but whatever. I can do that later. So what I was going to do, actually, is set up some hydroponic basins, but I really only need to set up one of them, and then I can expand upon it in the future. So we'll set up one tray. I figured I'm only going to use the traditional trays, and the reason being, I've gone to all of this effort to pressurize a base and provide it sunlight. So all of the other sort of hydroponic ways of growing stuff, the automated stuff, provides sunlight, takes up a lot more room, takes up a lot more power. This system is actually powerless, or does not require power, I should say, because the water is just sort of in the plumbing already. You don't need to pump it up or anything. There's not... Gravity doesn't affect water pressure, I think that's what I'm trying to say, so... Alright guys, that might be all the time I have for this episode. Next episode, I think the deal will be to try to start to seal up the base. And to put in all the things that the base needs, like chemistry stations, reagent stations, microwaves, the storage, before I close up the crawl spaces. Yeah, so if you have any tricks, tips, feedback for me, that kind of stuff, drop me a line, and I do hope that you tune in next time. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all later. Adios.